The stars outside the ship looked calm. Jack Carter sat near the viewing window, his eyes fixed on the galaxy. He was part of Earth's first cultural team sent to visit the alien world of Zarella. It was a huge moment for humans. After years of silence, the Zarellian Empire finally agreed to meet with Earth. No one knew what to expect. Jack was not a soldier or a leader. He was a linguist, good with languages and quiet thinking. He didn't like crowds or big speeches. He was here to understand, to learn, and maybe to help. Megan Rivers, a young diplomat, sat across from him. She looked tired but alert. She had been studying Zarellian customs for weeks. Megan spoke softly. "You ready for this, Jack?" Jack nodded. "As ready as I'll ever be." The ship landed on Zarella's capital city, where tall crystal towers rose into the sky. Lights shimmered from every corner. The air felt warm and smelled of strange flowers. Guards in silver uniforms led the humans to a grand hall. Then she entered. Princess Lyra, daughter of the Zarellian Empress, walked in silence. She wore a flowing blue robe, and her eyes held a strange glow. Her skin shimmered with a faint silver tone. She moved with grace, but there was something in her face, something quiet and thoughtful. "Welcome to Zarella," she said, her voice calm and clear. "We hope your visit will bring peace." Jack watched her carefully. He had read about Zarellians, their strict laws, their dislike of human emotions. But Lyra seemed different. She looked at the humans not with pride, but with curiosity. The ceremony began. Each member of the Earth team introduced themselves. When Jack stepped forward, he gave a short bow. "I am Jack Carter." Lyra tilted her head. Languages. "Yes," Jack said. "Words, meaning, stories. I believe every word tells something about the soul of a people." Some Zarellian officials seemed confused or bored, but Lyra's eyes stayed on Jack. That night, there was a small gathering in the palace gardens. Light floated from glowing orbs in the trees. Jack wandered, trying to make sense of it all. He didn't like formal events, but he wanted to see the place. He found a quiet corner near a fountain. That's when Lyra walked in. "You do not like parties?" she asked. Jack smiled. "I like words more than crowds." Lyra sat beside him. "You speak differently than your leaders? Maybe because I'm not one?" Jack said. "Just listen." They talked for hours. Jack asked about Zarellian poems. Lyra asked about human books. He told her about Earth's oceans. She told him about Zarellian stars that sang at night. Every day after that, they found time to meet. Sometimes in the garden, sometimes near the great library. They talked about dreams, fears, songs, and silence. Megan began to notice. She saw the way Jack smiled more. She warned him one day, "Be careful, Jack. She's a princess. And this isn't Earth." Jack nodded. He knew she was right. But something had already changed inside him. It wasn't about politics or peace treaties. It was about the way Lyra listened, the way she looked at the stars. Then came the ceremony of fire, a sacred Zarellian event. Each guest had to place a crystal into a flame as a symbol of hope. Jack stepped up and, unsure of the custom, held the crystal too long. A small gasp came from the crowd. Zarellian guards stepped forward, but Lyra raised her hand. "It was a mistake. Forgive him." Whispers spread among the elders. But Lyra stood firm. That night, Jack sat alone in the garden. He thought about his mistake. Then he whispered into the night, not knowing Lyra stood nearby. "I wish I could marry her," he said softly. Lyra stood in silence, then turned and walked away. Jack didn't know she had heard him. The next day, Jack avoided the garden. He did not know if Lyra had heard his words, but part of him feared she had. He stayed inside the guest quarters, pretending to study Zarellian words, but his mind stayed on her face. Megan knocked on his door. "You missed the morning session?" she said. "Is everything all right?" Jack nodded slowly. "Just needed some time." Megan walked in and sat across from him. "Listen, Jack. I know something's going on. You care about her. I see it. But we are not here for love stories." Jack looked down. "I know." Outside, the palace halls were filled with whispers. Many Zarellian elders had begun to question Princess Lyra's actions. They did not speak of it openly, but everyone felt the change in the air. Something was different. Later that day, Lyra visited the human quarters. Her steps were quiet, But Jack heard them. He looked up as she entered the room. "You did not come to the garden," she said. "Thought I should give you space," Jack replied. She sat beside him. For a moment, they did not speak. "I heard you," she finally said. That night, Jack froze. "Do you know what your words mean in our world?" Lyra asked. He shook his head. "No. To say such things to royalty is not just strange, it is dangerous." Jack stood up. "I'm sorry. Didn't mean to cause trouble. It was just a thought. A foolish one." Lyra looked at him. Her voice stayed calm. It was not foolish. It was honest. She stood and left the room without another word. In the council hall, the Zarelian elders met in secret. One of them, a tall figure with a golden robe, spoke. "The human has become a distraction. The princess is too close to him." Another elder replied, "We must act before it breaks our traditions." The next morning, a new rule was set. No human was to speak to the royal family without permission. The Earth team was told it was to protect their safety. But Jack knew the truth. He was being kept away from Lyra. Megan found him sitting alone again. "You need to be careful," she said. "They're watching you." Jack nodded. "I never wanted this to become a problem. And maybe stop before it does," Megan said gently. But stopping was not so easy. That night, a small note was left at Jack's door. It had only 3 words. "Come to garden." They went. The stars above Zarella looked brighter than ever. Lyra stood near the fountain, waiting. "You came," she said. "I didn't know if I should," Jack replied. "They want to separate us," Lyra said. "But I don't care. I don't want to live in fear of rules." Jack took a deep breath. "Why are you doing this?" "Because I feel something I've never felt before," Lyra said. "With you, I am not just a princess. I am a person." They stood in silence. Then Jack spoke. "If they find out, what will happen?" Lyra looked at him. "I do not know. But I know one thing. I will not lie about my heart." Suddenly a voice called from behind the trees. "Guards go," Lyra whispered. Now, Jack ran through the garden paths, heart pounding. He reached the guest quarters without being seen. The next day, an emergency meeting was called. A mining station on a distant moon had been accused of breaking Zarelian laws. Earth was blamed. Talks were breaking down. The Zarelian Council demanded answers. Earth's diplomats were shocked. Megan tried to explain, but the room was cold. Then Lyra stood up. "You blame Earth for this, but I see no proof. I believe this is not about the law. It is about fear." The elders stared at her. "You fear what is different. But we cannot grow by closing our eyes. We must open them." Her voice was clear, strong. One elder stood. "You defend them too quickly. Is this about the human?" Lyra did not look away. "This is about truth. About what is right." Outside the hall, Jack waited. He did not know what would happen next. But deep down, he knew something had already changed. It could not be undone. Jack sat on the edge of his bed. The walls of the guest room felt tighter each day. He had not seen Lyra since the meeting. Megan stayed close, watching him, making sure he did not draw more attention. But the palace was already buzzing with talk. The human who had won the princess's trust, the human who spoke of marriage in a room deep inside the palace. Lyra stood before the empress. Her mother watched her with careful eyes. "Is it true?" the empress asked. Lyra nodded. "Yes, you care for him." "Yes." Yeah, the empress sighed. "You were not born for this. We're born to lead." Lyra looked at the floor. "I want to lead with truth, not fear." The empress turned to the window. "Then you must be ready to stand alone." Outside the palace, protests had started. Small groups of Zarelians shouted near the gates. Some held signs written in their glowing language. Many feared change. They did not want humans to be part of their future. Back inside, Jack received a message. Not from Lyra, from the council. He was to attend a formal hearing. He would speak before the Zarelian High Council. Megan read the message aloud, her voice low. "They are testing you," she said. "Be careful what you say." Jack nodded. He dressed in simple clothes and followed the guards. The hearing hall was wide and tall. Light poured from the ceiling. Council members sat in a half circle. Lyra was not there. A deep voice began. "Jack Carter, you are a guest of our empire. but some say your presence has caused disorder. Jack stood straight. I have done nothing but speak the truth. Another elder asked, Did you say you wished to marry our princess? Jack hesitated. Yes, I said it, but I did not plan to break your ways. It was only my heart speaking. The room stayed quiet. Then a voice came from the back. Let him speak more. It was Lyra. She stepped forward, not in her royal robe, but in simple cloth, her face calm, her eyes steady. He spoke with his heart, and I will do the same. The council looked shocked. You risked the future of this empire, one of them said. Then let the people decide, Lyra said. Let them hear the truth. A day later, a new announcement spread across Zarella. A ritual would take place. It's a rare event called the Voice of Truth. It had not been used in years. In this ritual, a royal could speak before the entire empire. Their words would stand as a final choice. Jack watched from a high window as the workers prepared the palace square. Lyra had not spoken to him again. He did not know what she would say. Megan stood beside him. She's putting everything on the line. Jack looked down. I never wanted her to risk so much. You didn't make her, Megan said. She chose this. The day of the ritual came. People gathered from every part of the city. Screens showed the event across the empire. Lyra stood alone in the center. Her voice echoed through the square. I was born a princess, she said. I was told to follow rules, to obey, but I met someone who asked me questions no one else did, who listened, who saw me as more than a title. She paused. The crowd watched in silence. He is not from our world. But he understands my heart. Jack stood frozen. His name had not been spoken, but he knew. So I speak now not as a ruler, but as a person. I choose truth. I choose him. Gasps rose from the crowd. The elders looked at one another. The Empress closed her eyes, and a voice from the crowd shouted, Let her choose. Another voice followed, then another. Square filled with noise. Cheers, questions. Hope. Back in the guest room, Jack sat alone. A guard entered. You are summoned to the palace. Jack followed, heart racing. He entered the garden where Lyra waited. She turned, looked into his eyes, and said, My answer is yes, and nothing would ever be the same again. The garden was quiet. Jack stood in front of Lyra, not sure what to say. Her words still echoed in his mind. My answer is yes. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time since arriving on Zarella, he felt like he belonged. You mean it? Jack asked. Lyra nodded. I spoke to all of them. Now I speak to you. Jack took a deep breath. Then I will stay. They sat together near the fountain. For a moment, the world outside faded away. No rules, no council, just two people. But peace never lasts long. Megan rushed into the garden with a message in her hand. Her face was pale. The Earth Council is angry, she said. They think you've gone too far. Jack stood up. Why? They believe this will ruin the agreement. Some say you've been tricked. Others say you've betrayed your mission. Lyra frowned. We told the truth. Why should they be angry? Yeah. Megan shook her head. Politics doesn't work with truth. It works with fear. And right now, everyone is afraid. Later that day, the Earth delegation held a private meeting. Jack walked in with his head held high. Megan stood beside him. An older man from the Earth team stepped forward. What have you done, Jack? This was a diplomatic mission. It's not a love story. Jack stayed calm. We created something stronger than a treaty. We built a bond. Embarrassed us, the man said. You made it personal. Because it is personal, Jack said. You wanted peace. This is peace. Another voice in the room asked. What happens now? If the Zarellians turn on us, we lose everything. Jack looked around. Then let them see who we really are. Not just diplomats, people. Back in the Zarellian palace, Lyra faced her own storm. The council had called another meeting. Some demanded she step down from her royal role. Others wanted her to cut ties with the humans. You forget who I am, Lyra said. I am not just a daughter. I am a voice, and I choose to use it. The Empress entered the room. The council fell silent. Let her speak, the Empress said. Lyra stood tall. We talk of unity, of peace, of honor. But when someone dares to love beyond borders, we hide. We fear. I will not fear. Not anymore. The Empress looked at the council. We cannot lead with fear. Let her path be her own. Jack and Lyra met again under the crystal tree in the palace courtyard. Guards watched from a distance, but no one stopped them. The Empress gave her blessing, Lyra said. Jack smiled. And Earth. Megan stepped forward, still waiting. Then a message arrived from Earth. The head of the Global Council sent it himself. We have seen the event. The people of Earth support peace. If this union helps us understand each other, we welcome it. Jack laughed. Lyra smiled. That night, a new celebration began. Not a wedding, not a treaty, just a gathering of humans and Xeralians under one sky. Lights filled the palace, as music from two worlds mixed in the air. People shared food, stories, and laughter. For the first time, the fear was gone. Megan stood near the edge of the garden, watching. Jack joined her. You did good, she said. We all did, Jack replied. She changed everything, Megan added, nodding toward Lyra. Jack looked at Lyra from afar. No, she reminded us what mattered. The night ended with a soft wind. Stars above Zarella sparkled. Jack and Lyra stood together, side by side. There were still problems to solve, still rules to break. But for now, they had a moment. And sometimes one moment is enough to start a new world. Months passed since the night of the celebration. The bond between Earth and Zarella grew stronger. Ships moved freely between the two worlds. People learned each other's ways. What started as a small connection became a new chapter in history. Jack and Lyra worked together to build that future. They visited schools, spoke to leaders, and stood before crowds. Children on both planets learned new languages and customs. Zarellian songs were sung in Earth classrooms. Human art was displayed in alien halls. But not everything was easy. Some still spoke against the bond. Some believed humans and Zarellians were too different. Protests rose again in small places, but they were met with quiet strength. Lyra faced each challenge with calm. Jack supported her at every step. They were no longer just lovers, they had become symbols, as people saw them and believed peace was possible. One day, Jack received a letter from his mother on Earth. It was short and simple. I saw her speech. She is brave, so are you. Come home soon. He showed it to Lyra. She smiled. Maybe we should visit. Together they traveled to Earth. The landing field was full of people. Cameras flashed. News reports spread across the world. Jack's family waited near the edge of the crowd. His mother hugged him tightly. She looked at Lyra with wide eyes. You're even more beautiful in person, she said. Lyra bowed slightly. Thank you.
Hi.
Your son has a kind heart. During the visit, they toured many cities. They met scientists, artists, and teachers. At every stop, people welcomed Lyra with respect. Children gave her small gifts, flowers, drawings, handmade bracelets. One child asked, "Are you really going to marry him?" Lyra smiled. Yes, I already said yes. The child laughed. Then you're already family. After a few weeks, they returned to Zarella. The palace was quiet, but something new was being built nearby. Center for Shared Learning. Both Earth and Zarellian teachers would work there. The idea came from Jack and Lyra. Megan visited often. She now worked as the lead voice between the two worlds. She carried messages, ideas, and hopes. One evening, she sat with Jack in the garden. It feels like years ago, she said. That night you said you wished to marry her. Jack looked up at the stars. I didn't plan any of this. No one ever does, Megan said. But you didn't run from it. Jack smiled. Neither did she. The wedding was quiet. No grand stage. Just close friends, family, and a clear sky. Lyra wore a dress made from both Earth and Zarellian fabric. Jack wore a simple white shirt and dark pants. He stood beneath the crystal tree in the palace garden. It's the same place where everything began. Do you choose each other? Asked the speaker. Yes, they both said. No big speeches, no long vows. It's two voices, one promise. After the wedding, there was music and dancing. People from both worlds laughed together. Even the Empress danced, just a little. Later that night, Jack and Lyra stood alone by the fountain. Do you think this will last? Jack asked. Lyra looked up at the stars. It will last as long as we keep choosing it. Jack nodded. Then I choose it. Every day. She took his hand. So do I. Years later, their story became part of school lessons. not as a legend, not as a fairy tale, but as truth. Children learned how one man spoke from his heart, how one princess listened, and how two people helped change two worlds. Their message was simple. Love does not ask where you are from, it only asks if you are true, and that truth, anything is possible.